Dr. Patrick, welcome. How are
Thank you
you?
very much. We are doing fine under the circumstances.
It's so nice
Thank
to
you.
have you, man.
Thank you so much.
Yes. So how is Pretoria today?
All is well. We had a beautiful weather yesterday, which is still extended today. So at least we've been blessed.
Interesting.
Under the circumstances, we've been blessed.
Under the circumstances, you can say that again.
Yeah.
So somebody was telling me that there were some huge storms in South Africa yesterday.
Yes,
Yeah.
and definitely, and hopefully some areas were not too much affected, especially with this lockdown and the expectation of us staying at home. So we're crossing our fingers that the emergency services are out there and are trying to do as much as they could. But I think some areas were very hard hit. And the hope is hopefully properties were not actually affected.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. All right. So, Doc, we are in the COVID-19 crisis. And definitely it affects businesses. It affects business leaders. It affects entrepreneurs. You know, entrepreneurs create jobs. Entrepreneurs make the economies run, as far as I think. And right now, I think some of the businesses have been closed, maybe some closed for good, unfortunately. Some we hope they will be able to be resurrected. My major concern is that it's not just about the COVID-19, but the fact that it looks like we are entering into a depression, a global depression. What do you say, Doc? I know you are a researcher, you are an entrepreneur, you are a business leader, all these caps on one person. Talk to me and talk to the audience. What do you have for?
Thank you very much. Like you've just alluded to, it's rather an unprecedented situation that we all find ourselves. Unfortunately, the employers, and when I'm talking about the employers, I'm talking about the 60% small businesses which actually employ the rest of us, are actually feeling the blunt of all of this.
Yes.
Unfortunately, the crisis, or we'll say the pandemic, actually happened in a time where some economy were dancing and balancing around the recession.
Yes.
And I believe the pandemic became a final blow to some of this economy. And definitely, I'm not sure how we are going to escape a depression. The question is, what will be the extent of the depression or the recession in some countries? And I believe that is why some national economy and some national government have already come out with their two hands getting into the boxing ring in terms of coming up with a lot of stimulus packages to actually cushion the economy. And by the way, that is not the solution. That is to cushion us. And if I'm going to make an example, I know people will say, no, this money should be enough. Just think about it. You losing your job. And you've just been given an allowance. Automatically it means that you are not servicing your debt, despite the fact that the financial institutions are giving us a 3-month payment freeze. Do you believe you're going to get another job after 3 months? Then the jury's out there. So that's another situation. And if you want to bring into directly affecting entrepreneurs, and look, it's a question of the repeat effect. Let's use an example. Restaurants are closed. Totally shut down. That has brought about the issue of reduction in alcohol consumption. Rather unfortunate as well. Reduction in alcohol consumption means that the breweries under pressure because they're not making money. If you're not making money, all your salespeople, you're going to retrench them. We're adding on to the unemployment. And by the way, farmers are going to be affected. So if restaurants are not open, the breweries and some of them providing some of the raw materials to this industry are really going to feel the pinch on it. So add on to other crises, other challenges that some of this industry were facing already, remember. So if you're looking at the agricultural space, you had the drought happening. So it's rather unfortunate, but as an entrepreneur, for me, it's about the pandemic, or what other people are calling it a crisis now, is an opportunity for us.
Yes.
An opportunity to reinvent our businesses,
Right.
our opportunity to reinvent our business models.
Yes.
It's not going to be business as usual. We should
Never.
just accept it. It's not going to be
Yes.
business as usual. And this presents that opportunity for us to reset our mindset. I think for me, it is very important. And I know sometimes we're going to say it's rapid. When we're talking about resetting of our mindset, it's not just about the entrepreneurs resetting our mindset. It is about our market, our customers resetting our mindset. I don't want to be a doomsday prophet, but within the next 6 to 9 months, we are heading towards a low-touch economy. We are heading towards economy with a lot of restriction on travel. You're not going to have a choice. You're not traveling anytime soon until we find a vaccine. And even when the vaccine is found, remember, this vaccine is not found in Africa. When will it arrive here? And by the time we vaccinate everybody, you're looking about a year to 18 months. So in the next 6 to 9 months, we should get used to this. I think that's where the mindset shift actually comes in. You're looking out at limited gathering. In Africa, I think in some other part of the world, you quickly notice that we are used to big gatherings. Even going shopping, educational space, we automatically got used to big classrooms.
Yes.
That is going to change. So we need to start getting used to it. And I think that is where the mindset actually comes in.
Right.
And another issue that I might want to bring in before you jump into something else is the question of the requirement from policymakers. We are in the Zoom age.
Yes.
We are on video calling every single time. What are the new privacy laws? Because those are other issues now. Some of these platforms were not meant for the crisis periods as such. We are having remote work happening. Some companies, you can do remote work because you are dealing with sensitive data. So the question then becomes, are there new policies within organizations? And I think that's where business leadership comes about. What are the new policies that you can actually bring up for your business continuity plans?
Right.
Nationally, they need to be new privacy laws, especially that we are moving into all this remote technology, remote working, remote office. The labor law protecting the entrepreneurs and the labor law protecting the employees. It is quite different from saying you are clocking hours. For some of us in the service space, you're clocking hours. You need to be in the office at this particular time. Now we are working from home. So what are those? What are the implications on all of that? But like I alluded to, it's an opportunity for an entrepreneur, or is even an opportunity for would-be entrepreneurs, if I may put it that way.
I think you have said it very well, Doc. So you realize that quite a number of people have lost their jobs. Some are going to lose their jobs. Many have been running their micro enterprises, and they are not sure whether they'll be able to open their doors again. But technology, then we are likely to, deal with some of those challenges. And I like the fact that you are bringing up the issue of policies, for the policymakers. Now, for policies to be put in place, it takes the leaders to be able to see into the future. Because I see there are some people, well, generally talking, right? When I pass through social media, I see people posting that they are tired of sleeping, they are tired of doing nothing. And I'm thinking, So some people are waiting for COVID-19 to go. And for sure, that's not for entrepreneurs, that's not for business leaders. It can be for any other person, but not for would-be entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs and business leaders. This is the time when we work the hardest. This is the time when we invest in ourselves like never before. This is the time when we read like never before. The time when we research more and more. Because, this is the new normal. You cannot afford to be sleeping. You cannot afford, even if you are an employee and you have a job, you cannot afford to be dodgy. This is the time when your boss needs you more. This is the time when your business leaders need your support like never before. You need to be accessible. You need to be available via email, via telephone, via WhatsApp, whatever it is, so that you are supportive. Otherwise, your job is gone. Because guess what, Dr. Patrick, you and I will agree that especially in a crisis, when you are a business leader, this is the time when you are thinking, what can I do to cut down costs? And one of the things that quickly comes to mind, and let's face the reality, is to lay off some people. And I think some employees out there who are probably, for lack of a better word, reckless or careless, they will be dodgy, they are not there, they don't respond to messages and so on. They don't know that they are categorically saying, lay me off first. Yeah. Anyway,
unfortunately, that is definitely true. I see this period as a period that you need to sow a seed.
Yes.
If you are an employee or you are an entrepreneur or you policy maker, this is a time to sow a seed.
Right.
There will be a time for you to harvest. If you don't sow the seed right now, it becomes very difficult. And sowing the seed is working 3 times harder. Remember,
thank you.
We are not used to working
3 times
from home.
harder or even more. I agree with you.
There are challenges with working from home. You need to find a space to make it work. It depends. You have a scenario where you've been conformed. I will use our educational space as an example, where we've been conformed to a particular way of delivery of curriculums. Now you are asked to develop new materials. If you're in our space, you've long already done half of the work or 75% of the work before the year even began. But now all those materials have been thrown up air. You need to, you can then tell your boss, no. It is an opportunity for you to learn. It's an opportunity for you to sow the seed that you definitely reap at the end of the day. The changes that are coming will definitely affect all of us. And if some of us are not putting in the hours that is required right now, when things get back to normal, you might find that this is our new normal. And if you were not up to scratch, then you are not going to be part of the new normal. Unfortunately, this is a new norm, at least for the next 3 to 6 months. Except you are prepared and you are very happy with government parcels, then that is fine. But if you're not, this is a time to sow a seed. This is a time, even onto the business leaders and the employers, this is also the time to protect the health of your employees.
That's right.
This is a time to protect and give your employees a safety net. Because if you can do so, when all of this is over, you might as well get more productive employees at the end of the day and more committed employees at the end of the day. So it is a two-way traffic, both from the employer, both for the employees, and definitely the entrepreneurs as well. And for me, and another word that I wanted to put across there when I was talking about policies as well, is also the business leaders themselves. What new policies are you coming up? What new proactive policies are you coming up? You don't need to wait for board meetings for you to come up with new policies. We have Zoom. We can sign off electronically those new policies. You can run up with your staff those new policies. You need to come up with proactive policies that will defend your current business positioning.
That's right.
You don't. The issue here is, to what extent are you going to be waiting for government? We need to assist the government to protect our own local economies. So businesses, unfortunately, have a huge role to play. Outside of the normal policy that government might actually bring up, are the localized company policies that are there to protect. For those of us that did not have our risk management plan previously, do you have policies right now? And there's a lot of generic policies and strategies that you can look at depending on your industry to implement within your own company. And the key issue here is, at least for now, protect and defend your position within your current market that you are in.
You have said it so well, Doc. So I think the message is very clear to CEOs and business leaders to say, right now is the time to sit down with your legal team, if you have one. If you don't have, it's the time to consult with a legal firm or legal firms so that they can advise you best. Because I think generally you find that it's not everybody who thinks about policy at this juncture. Because every business leader is thinking, oh my God, what are we going to do? Oh, there's no income. How are we going to serve our customers? And things like that. And then they might forget to look at the policies. So I think this is the right time to review the current policies that you have and see whether all of them are still relevant. If not, you need to tweak them accordingly. Sending an email or, sending a message or a memo to your employees to say, this is the way we are doing things, it's not enough, because that's not policy. It's okay, but it's not enough. Thank you for bringing that up, Doc. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
So I think so. During this time, Doc, should there be an entrepreneur or potential entrepreneur or business leader who is sleeping, waiting for COVID-19 to go?
That would be rather unfortunate for that entrepreneur and business leader.
It would be suicidal.
That would be, yeah, sort of. For me, it all boils down to the entrepreneurial mindset of individuals. Shouldn't there be some entrepreneurs who say, depending on the industry I'm in, I'm going to ride the wave, and hopefully I get protected, I get all my insurance policies, I get all the government bailout, I can survive. But for how long? As you are surviving, you find that other entrepreneurs are challenging status quo. Having a positive mindset, to seeing and creating new opportunities from this crisis. You having other entrepreneurs with the creative mindsets. So if you're really an entrepreneur or would be an entrepreneur, can you turn your ideas into action? Previously, I know we're still going to be discussing other things, but previously you have a scenario where we say, no, for me to start off my business and get into groove of things, it would take me 3 years, 2 years. No. We want solutions right now. We don't want solutions next month, right now. So how can you quickly convert your creative skills, your creative mindset into action? How can you smartly organize resource? Sometimes you find that yes, I have a wonderful business idea. Whoops, I don't have the resource. Now the creative mindset, how can you organize them and those resources clear and creatively? And remember, some of us operate in a team. How do you proactively communicate, persuading both your internal stakeholders and your external stakeholders. So if you're still sleeping, and you've been on, I'll use an example, you're a business consultant, you had a contract that you were supposed to deliver, and just because there's COVID-19, you are not delivering. There's legal repercussions to some of those. Or in short, like some of us, this is a time for us to get into organizations to say, by the way, we can change your business strategy. So if you're a business strategist and you are sleeping, this is the time the organizations are actually looking for your help. If you're a PR agency and you are sleeping, this is the time the organization could be looking for solutions that at least when we reopen, what do we need to do? And another one then becomes, then if in case that you are sleeping, it means that one of the major entrepreneurial mindset, you might have a bit of deficiency in it, and which is self-motivation, self-drive. Those two are critical because in some cases, some of this lockdown might result in depression. And the question is, you might not have somebody to push you out of it. Now, this is an opportunity for individuals, not just entrepreneurs, to be self-motivated, to be self-driven. Yes, this might not be a long-term status quo, but at this point, it might affect you in the near future. And another issue that some entrepreneurs might pick to say, I don't want to rock the boat way too much because we don't know to what extent this is taking us. And that comes up with an ability to learn from our fears, our ability to learn from our failures. And most of them might be afraid to fail. To say, let's keep what we have and we will see. Some might take the risk, and definitely they might learn from the risk. And I believe that is where most of the entrepreneurial lesson comes in. Are you able to take the risk? And you will notice those people that are taking the risk at this period will definitely harvest. Because the worst thing that will happen to them is maybe failing, but they've learned from that failure. And they will utilize those lessons of those failure to move along while you are just coming. And I'm not saying you might not be successful, but definitely the higher the risk, the higher the expected rate of return.
Awesome. I like, Doc, there is something you continuously repeat. You are talking about sowing and harvesting. Sowing and harvesting. Sowing is always painful. Sowing is always risky. I mean, a farmer goes to plant seeds in the soil and they don't even know whether there is going to be consistent rain. It's a risk. So for someone to sit at home right now and not know what to do and not take any step and not experiment with technology to see what can be done, I think it's very dangerous. So what would you say to somebody out there? Maybe they have lost their job or they are not sure about their business again and things like that. What are some of the opportunities that you think come up with this situation right now? What are some of the business ideas that you think people can begin to implement right now as they plant the seed?
Like you're talking about sowing, and right now, it's a two-way traffic. One, those people were prepared for this opportunity. So preparation plus the COVID-19 opportunity equals to success during the crisis. So were you prepared prior to this opportunity? And by the way, this opportunity, like you're saying, will affect us in a lot of dimensions. So the traditional way of sowing might change, even for those of us practicing agriculture. The use of technology will be definite. Before we went on air, we said we definitely thank technology and the internet, because I'm not quite sure what happened in the last pandemic, but I'm definitely very lucky to be alive in this period, because technology as a platform, It's providing
Definitely.
new ways of doing things. So
Right.
are we able to harvest technology? I'll use an example, 3D printing for manufacturing. You're looking at your remote online services, exactly what we're doing right now. I don't need to be in Gaborone to have this discussion with you.
Right.
Are they able to harvest this for and utilize their strength and capability to come up with new services, new business model, to turn the challenges into opportunities? Those are definite. And one of the things that you quickly brought up is the issue of opportunities. Question, what can you localize? Just think about your country, think about your city. What can you localize? And localization of your manufacturing sector is key. During research, during this pandemic and post this pandemic, are we able to localize? And I will use an example, our daily essentials. Where are we buying them from? Can we ask those questions? Who is manufacturing those? If there is a gap, get in on it. I will use an example. Your dry foods, a simple item as toilet tissue or toilet paper is running out of stock.
Yes,
and we are waiting for importation in some countries. In SADC, we're waiting for importation of toilet tissue. Hold on. Can't we manufacture our toilet tissue in our own locality?
Right.
As simple as that. Issues of protective clothing. Where are the fashion designers? Where are the people working in the textile space? Are you manufacturing masks? Yes, I know that a clinical mask, your N19, N97, that is needed by the clinical staff, which goes through a lot of other processes. But how about the mask that the general public is requiring right now? Are they available? Are we still importing them? What about the protective gowns that we require? Those of us that are already having PPE equipment platforms, it is time to localize. If you have those machineries, are you then able to transform your business line to a new business line? That is how you are going to survive this crisis. There's the issue of hand sanitizers. Are you still importing hand sanitizers? Are you manufacturing your hand sanitizers? And I think this is where the education system comes in. We train chemical engineers in our local universities. Where are they? Where are the labs? This is a time to utilize those capabilities. And outside of hand sanitizers, guess what? What about a full body sanitizer? Where you can actually spray on the full body, but because it's getting onto that.
Yes.
Are we still going to be importing those? So those for me, look at what people are using on a daily level and try and provide those services. And I don't want to mention farming because that is a new way. How many of us have our own food gardens? You need to go to the shops to buy food. And if other countries are on a lockdown, yes, food becomes essential. But in the countries that you're going to purchase food from or import food from, they are also looking for this food for their own citizens.
Yes.
This is going to be a secondary crisis. Now, the question is, that provides us an opportunity for local production. If you're telling me you can't because we don't have adequate soil, I have good news for you. Technology, agroponics, aquaponics, urban farming labs are there. These are the opportunities that we should actually be looking for. And by the way, this crisis, this pandemic provides an opportunity for entrepreneurs and stakeholders within the entrepreneurship ecosystem to unlock capital for some of this essential produce that needs to be localized. Of course, we need to be able to provide digitization of our products and services, and it brings us to the discussion of e-commerce, localization of online shopping platforms. Are we able to deliver fresh produce, fresh food? I don't need to go to the shop. we are in a crisis. Are we able to have delivery services? Yes, drones are still far-fetched. We can still have the door-to-door delivery services instead
Right.
of people in some of this crisis time actually
Right.
going out. Other
Right.
opportunities that already people have been taking up is the likes of your online entertainment. A lot of those is happening where we have now online house parties, lockdown parties. You might
Right.
find that this will become a norm.
Yes.
However, the health sector, the healthcare related industry provides one of the major opportunities within this period. And most often than not, we are talking about your telemedicines, your online medical platforms and treatment, where we can have online diagnosis for citizens, um, your life insurance and your medical insurance presents another opportunity for them to reinvent. Yes, I know this might become far-fetched, but other opportunities that this really present is remote working.
Right.
Most of us are in the service space. Um, do you shut down completely? And one of the things is how much revenues can you still actually amounts at this period? The issue of cash flow management. Remote working, especially in the service space, provides an opportunity for you to still open your doors. And I
Right.
believe we're doing that very well. And this call upon the issue, another challenge that you might be faced with remote working is the infrastructure to do so. Apart from you having the hardware infrastructure, um, in some cases, you have a scenario where data is very expensive. And I believe
Yes.
this is where we need to start discussing that. But remember the discussion we had earlier on where some employees will say, but employer data is too expensive. I've got news for you. Every day, you used to pour petrol, you used to use transportation, and you used to get to work. Then the new petrol for you is buying data.
I love that.
So we need to meet our employer halfway.
Mhm.
Instead
Yeah.
of you buying petrol to work, now buy data to get the same work done. I
Right.
know it's not as simple as that, but you are meeting the employer halfway. And that
Mm.
brings up to online education. I know most of them tertiary education system or even our basic education system, um, this is the time to transform if we like it or not. For those
Yes.
of us that have not transformed already, this presents a wonderful opportunity for us to change the way
Right.
we deliver education.
Right.
Um, so you will be seeing a more opportunity in blended learning platforms, visual classrooms, activities. So there's a lot of opportunities around there. There's a lot of platforms that are already present for education, for educational services. Make use of those service opportunities. You do not have to close down your higher education platforms. Yes, there is a question surrounding practical subjects. With practical subjects, you could find a mechanism if simulation can't help, if augmented reality can help, if visual reality can help. If those still is not enough, you still have an ability for you to look at ways on how do you utilize blended learning with a combination of online platforms and face-to-face delivery. But remember, with this crisis, limited gathering. It means instead of you having a class of 100 students, instead of you having a class of even 50 students, you might need to reduce your class to the size of 10. And that brings up other challenges. But with challenges comes with opportunity. Are we able, I will use an example, our STEM colleagues in the science and technology space, are we able to come up with mobile labs where students could actually have their own mini laboratory at home? those could be part of the opportunities that could actually bring forth. Like I said, this might not become a longer term issue once the vaccine is found, but this is an opportunity for us to learn from mistakes and see how we can utilize the opportunity for our own disposal. So those are the few elements. But just to conclude on the opportunity during, you notice one thing: we are all going to eat. We all need food. We all
Right.
need water, and not just water, purified water. Because in some instances, the water that we are utilizing has different challenges, issues of access to quality water.
Right.
With this pandemic, it requires water. It needs you to be
Right.
hydrated. It needs you to eat healthy. You'll find that outside of your technology, these are other spaces that people should concentrate on. Agriculture will still remain one of the biggest opportunity. It is on the way that you deliver on that opportunity that will really matter.
Awesome. Awesome. So I like it when you mention that employees could meet their employers halfway if this thing can be prolonged. I think the same applies for tertiary education. It also applies to students, because students were spending money going to school. So probably that same money they were using. I mean, you know, sometimes we feel like I don't have resources. Yet you actually have something, because there are some savings you are making. You were going to class all the time. Now you are no longer going there. Then you can divert. It's just a matter of diverting the money towards your new fuel.
and one of the things I just sorry for that. I just want to point out as well. This is the time that we see all the corporate social responsibility, corporate social investment promises of multinational companies, especially with important stakeholders. And one of the critical important stakeholders, if you're referring to technology, are your telecommunication companies. This is a time for them to support your essential and critical services. And education should actually be declared an essential service.
Yes.
If government is diverting some money to some services, it should actually support the provision of remote education.
That's right.
With that, it could actually support your higher tertiary education, especially your higher tertiary education and your basic education with that. Because another concern that we're having, if you're going to look at the continent in general, some people are privileged, but we are still having a huge percentage of us that are poor. And we do not have the hardware to even log on. So we can log on with our smartphones, but we can't write exams with our smartphones. We can't write our assignments on our smartphones. So the question then becomes, what partnership will company jointly have? And I think this is where calls upon partnerships, calls upon government support, but smart partnerships. Partnership that will last beyond the pandemic. Partnership that will continue. And I'm not going to mention companies' names on the platform, but I believe the likes of software providers, the likes of your hardware providers, your telecommunication should join forces with tertiary education platform, with basic education platform, to provide some of these technology enablers for us to be able to access some of the services.
I think mentioning corporate social responsibility, you see, what this pandemic has done and the looming recession has done is to open our minds so that we can think outside the box. We have quite a number of corporates that have been doing very well. They have been helping out in different ways, but in a physical manner. So what you are saying is that now they have to think outside the box and say, what else can we do since now we are virtual? How can we support people? Look at what Zoom has done. Look at what Zoom has done. They say during this pandemic, under normal circumstances, you are supposed to do 40 minutes meeting on Zoom on the basic plan. But we are giving you unlimited time. They their aging time. That's corporate social responsibility. And people should not take that for granted.
Definitely.
Awesome stuff.
Those are some of the examples that corporates could actually look at. And remember, it is all about habits. It's all about encouraging new habits. And once we obtain new habits, turns into behavior, post this, definitely some of those habits will definitely continue. And I think that is where you sustain your business models going forward. For some
awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Thank you so much, Joe. Please feel free to go ahead and dish out the rest of the things you want to, share with us today.
I think it is one thing talking about business ideas, business opportunities during the pandemic. The question then becomes post-pandemic, what happens? And where is post-pandemic? And we don't know where post-pandemic is taking us. But we know one thing. For a country like Botswana, you are on a partial, whatever happens for the next 6 months, you will be on a sort of lockdown.
Right.
Post that, what then happens? And post that, you're finding that travel restriction will still be there. We are not welcoming international tourists. And guess what? If you're not welcoming international tourists, tourism is one of the major sectors that Africa uses. Botswana, South Africa, Lesotho. If you shut down tourists, it means for a country like Botswana, the second highest GDP contributor is gone. And I will come back to the opportunity there. You're looking at, there will be a lot of hygiene requirements. These are things that will be coming if we like it or not. There will be a lot of hygiene requirement. If some of us were hiding behind our occupational health and safety, you need to ramp it up. There will be a lot of limited gathering, at least for now. Guess what? This post, it will change the way we eat. It will definitely change the way we are shopping. The way we exercise will change. The way we socialize will change. Supply chain is going to be disrupted. And you're going to be having a lot of people talking about contactless everything. Contactless, I'm greeting my family 2 meters away. We're sleeping 2 meters away. I'm standing 2 meters away. And unfortunately, post this pandemic, we are going to have limited access to capital. And it might not be good news, but it will present other opportunities as well. So new habits that will be forming post this pandemic, I already mentioned it as an opportunity right now, but post pandemic, you'll find that there will be a lot of remote working. And I hope and I believe some industries, your ICT and your banking industry, some industry already started implementing remote working. So I am hopeful that this will continue and be expanded and actually encouraged. And for entrepreneurs, you will notice that you don't need the cost of renting a commercial office space. If you implement remote working or remote office effectively and efficiently, you might reduce the cost of rental. For me, that is a massive opportunity for your cash flow. E-health will be massive. You don't need to be a doctor to own an e-health platform, but you need doctors to advise us. But you don't need to be a doctor to organize an e-health platform. Access to e-commerce. I'm definitely, I know we have your international e-commerce platform, but trust me, the local platform will be needed. Other opportunities for some of us that are doing therapy, coaching, remote coaching, and remote therapy. For the entrepreneurs that requires business coach, business mentors, you don't need to meet your business mentors face to face. There's an opportunity to connect with them offsite. Social games for those of social games for those of us in the IT space. A lot of us will be housebound. We need to keep entertained. So your social gaming will come in as an opportunity. Remember, one of the things this pandemic has brought up is the lack of trust amongst people because of IG, the lack of trust of product. So we buy things now, and we need to find jig and wash them 20 times even before we take it into the house. That brings in a redesign in packaging.
Right.
So people that are looking at your industrial designers, your marketers, this brings in an opportunity for us to redesign our packaging. And one of those opportunity would then be a process of reducing waste. So if we use we use the water purification space as an example, we use a lot of plastic disposables. Do you know that if you were supposed to process copper into some of those, is a copper water bottle is actually having more health benefits to you. So that is another opportunity. It might seem far-fetched. Some of these are already on the pipeline. Some organizations, you'll be shocked, might already start producing the prototypes for them already. But locally, we have copper. In this continent, we sell raw copper. Isn't this an opportunity to start rethinking what we use our raw material for?
Right.
And another opportunity that might sound a bit dicey is I'm not quite sure if you're familiar with your Uber platform or your share riding space. One of the concern here is who got into our ride the last time. Is share economy, but do I know who had to touch the cap before me? I know. I know quite all right that we are going to say we are going to use masks, we are going to clean the car as much as possible. But how about sharing some personal health record, even on the app, whereby we know our driver that is coming to us, can we find out at least his temperature, his current life temperature? By the time you are walking into your office, some of these things are there. It's just the integration of it. So by the time you're walking into your office, are we able to test your temperature, at least your temperature, to find out if you are safe to be amongst us?
Right.
Like I mentioned, safe delivery packages definitely serve as an opportunity for us to look at, and this will really affect issues of supply chain, where you need to buy from multiple stores. You know, as you go to one store, you buy one thing, you go to another, you buy another, but you could have a platform which integrates all of this, and you get your delivery. But please don't ask for drone delivery. in some instances it's still far-fetched in some places, but it's coming. We will not avoid drone delivery. It's already happening in some places. Yes, I know some in our continent, we're still waiting for licensing for some of the things, but we will not avoid drones. And when I'm talking about drones, I'm not talking about just delivery, industrial drones to clean your house, to sanitize your house, to sanitize your office. So these things, we can't run away from them. I spoke about issues pertaining to tourism, where we were so dependent on international tourists. This crisis actually presents an opportunity for local tourism to boom.
Yes, local tourism. That's it. You can say that again.
Local tourism is going to boom because travel ban is still going to be in existence. Some of us that will be stubborn to travel. When you come back, you might just be quarantined. So we don't want a 14-day quarantine period. So we will be forced to know our locality better. And my challenge to the hospitality and the tourism sector is appreciate the fact that you are losing income. this is an opportunity to provide discounted value for locals.
Right.
Because this is one of the ways you are going to survive. And this
Right.
is supposed to be one of your huge market segment. Let's promote local tourism, provide incentives for local tourism. For me, these are the opportunities that are actually coming through. Of course, your home hygiene product is here to stay. Hand sanitizers, except you can learn how to make them at home, you need to purchase them. These are new opportunities that are actually coming through. And
Right.
one of the things that you might be finding most often is already happening rapidly in South Africa as we speak, is the remote reskilling and training.
Right.
Most of us, we are not bound, used to online learning. I'll use an example. The last time some of our teachers were trained were 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And now you've disrupted their traditional and conventional way of doing things. This is an opportunity to retrain your staff. So your remote reskilling and training is essential. So while we are still in lockdown, it could present an opportunity for those that you want to utilize to do your services, to be trained with what you actually want to utilize for the services. So for me, this presents a lot of opportunities for those of us that are in the brewery space. We need to have hand sanitizers, and the recommendation is it should be about 75% alcohol. Since where you are not allowed to sell alcohol anymore, at least for now, is it possible for you to divert those alcohol to manufacture hand sanitizers, at least for us?
Of
So
course.
for me, those are opportunities that actually present itself. The transportation space, you should know that global commerce is disrupted. I'm not quite sure when global commerce will come back to normal. And one of the things that we are finding, particular in most of the SADC countries, is buying gray cars. Some cars that are already expired for us is still on the road. If we go to some people's buildings, homes, you'll find that there are about 2 or 3 scraps available. We might need to reopen certain industries, and one of them could be recycling these metals and repurposing the metals for a new industry that might actually not be present in some of our places. And one of them, like I already mentioned, is your automobile manufacturing.
Right.
Why not? Why are we not manufacturing by ourselves? Another opportunity, and you will hear where I'm going at. It's all about localization. It's all about security of supply. If you go to some countries right now to say, may I kindly import raw material? Guess the answer. No, we don't have raw material. But however, we have the produce that you need from the raw material. However, by the way, the raw material that you are the processed raw material that you are looking for came from somewhere. And if you look at it, 70% of that might have come from Africa. Africa have just signed the new trade zone. Why are we not trading with each other? Opportunity for entrepreneurs. We are looking for ventilators. Some countries, including the top African countries, talking less of those that are still below them, they don't have ventilators. We have population of countries of about 200 million with only 100 ventilators. And by the way, for a ventilator to be supplied currently, it would take 40 to 52 weeks to be shipped. Why are we
That's
not?
a long time.
Are you already dead by the time it is delivered? My question here is, why are we not looking for local intellectual properties, local IPs for these medical equipment that we actually requiring? We do have the resources. Why are we not using them? And by the way, this is the entrepreneurship opportunities that we might be looking going forward. But like you mentioned, issues of research in your opening, some of these things, I know when we talk about entrepreneurship, we're talking about new markets, and it seems that it might just happen overnight. You need research for those existing companies, for those existing businesses. You need to invest right now.
Yeah.
Or you need to invest into your research and development. If you did not have a budget for expenditure for research, it is time to create one.
Yes.
You need to reprocess your budget. And the question for your research, as simple as, in the short term, can you run your macro and microeconomic scenarios to say, if I don't have customers, we have a total lockdown for a month. If I don't have customers for a month, what happens to me? If I don't have customers, if this lockdown is extended by another month, what happens to me? In that case, what asset do I have for me to use to survive this period? Am I able to start looking at understanding the impact, the long-term impact on my business? Research will help you in this. Part of research is to say, can I stabilize my operation? For those of us in manufacturing, can I stabilize? For those of us in the supply chain, am I able to stabilize? Can I actually understand this new economy, this new low-touch economy, this new distancing economy? Am I able to understand what the impact of the distancing economy has on me? Because an example is, your entire marketing strategy for some of us that were using conventional marketing is out of the window. You need to start looking at your digital marketing in this new economy. Are you able to invest in them? And of course, are you able to develop strategy on how to outperform your competitors? You are not in this alone. You have other people that might want to outsmart you. Can you, of course, develop new products? So I'll use an example. One of the essential services is grocery store, your fresh food market store, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are a restaurant. Your restaurant is shut down because currently it's not essential services. Are you able to convert your restaurant into a grocery store? So you already have an infrastructure. You're going to pay rent, if you like it or not. You're going to find a way to compensate your staff. Are you able to convert your restaurant into a grocery store? That is just a simple example on how to look at your current business model.
Right.
Are you able to get into new industries? Totally. Are you able to get into new industry? Because some of the industries that we might be operating in, you might need to disinvest from it. Unfortunately, that is the nature of business. So your research will help you to find out what the market is pivoting to. If you have a portfolio of assets, if you have a portfolio of target market, if you have a portfolio of product, portfolio of services, which of those assets or services is actually bringing in the money right now? Are you able to put your efforts and your resources in that part of your product and service, and rather focus on it in the long term? But the research part will be able to answer those questions. But definitely, the reason why we are getting into research is to understand in the next 6 months, and this is my advice, in the next 6 months, what will be the impact of both this pandemic and unfortunately the recession that we hope to avoid will have on
Yes.
us.
Mm-hmm.
In the next 12 months, what will be the impact? And unfortunately, this will self-correct only in the next 18 months. We should just accept it. As entrepreneurs, you need to be able to accept that. And please, we are not politicians as entrepreneurs. We might want to advise the politicians, but guess what? You need to come up with a 6 month plan. You need to come up with a 12 month plan. You need to come up with an 18 month plan. You need to come up with a 3-year plan.
Right.
And some of this planning does not require you to do a full business plan. It means, are you able to come up with various scenarios and develop new business models where you can take advantage of, depending on the situation? Research again, before I leave it to you, research again comes into play where you need to study the situation weekly. So when you asked if it would be a good idea for an entrepreneur to sleep, no. Most of your data, you must collect it locally, nationally. You must collect the data regionally. You must collect international data to say, okay, what is going on? Some countries is opening up. What does it mean? Which sectors of the economy is the World Health Organization advising to be opened up? And then you see what would the impact be in your own local setting. But
Right.
you need to plan. For you to plan, you need research to obtain the data that you can utilize to develop all these scenarios for your business.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Doc. So you spoke about reskilling. And I think there is no better time than now for all the business leaders to make a decision to empower their teams. I have spoken to some people in the industry, and I was shocked. There are some who have a philosophy or a theory or whatever you might call it. They say, I don't hire people to train them. I hire you because you are trained, so you must deliver. If you can't deliver, go. Well, I'm not here to criticize that, but this is a crisis, guys. This is a crisis. We are in it all together. So yourself, you will find that even some of the business leaders, they are not technology savvy. They need retraining. The rest of the executive needs retraining, and everybody down to the person on the ground, they need retraining. So let's not be worried about the budget for retraining or reskilling. This is crucial. Do not start complaining that people are not delivering when you have not equipped them to be able to deal with a new norm. So, Doc, I thank you for bringing that up. Yeah.
Definitely. And by the way, by law, and I believe in practice, most entities have budget set aside for skill development of their staff.
Yes.
It is actually a policy in most organizations. So the budget is there. The question is, use it wisely.
Use it wisely.
The budget is there. We are not saying create new budget. The same budget that was set aside for skill development, use it wisely. And please remember your lowest level employees, because we always forget about them.
Yeah.
Right now, the cleaners are one of your most essential staff.
Yeah.
They are the ones cleaning all the surfaces that you are going back into. Are you able to train them towards the new hygiene requirements? They need the skilling. Our security guards are the ones opening the doors for you.
Yes.
Are you able to retrain them on the new hygiene protocols?
Right.
We normally forget them. And I'm just bringing that up. We shouldn't forget about the lowest level employee. So it starts
Thank
from
you, Doc.
bottom. It
Thank
starts
you,
from
Doc.
bottom to the top executive of the organization.
Because most of the time, what I've seen is that, I don't know, but most of the time, Doc, you find that leaders tend to train themselves over and over and over and over, and they forget about the people on the ground. And that's very risky, like you are saying, because why is it that leaders never assume that they know what they are doing? They always make sure they are reskilling. But as for those at the lower level, there is an assumption: a cleaner is a cleaner. A security guard is a security guard. This is a this. No, everybody needs retraining. So that's very important,
Definitely.
guys. And then you mentioned research. Many times when I do financial wellness coaching or when I do business coaching, I've realized that there are some people, they don't have a problem with paying. And they say they are willing to listen. But the moment you tell them to go do research, I remember one person said to me, Dr. Mutoko, you have started. This is one thing I hate. Research, research, research. While I'm researching, others are already making money. I said, wow, okay, please go and make money. That was the last time I saw that person. Go and make the money. Without research, it's risky. Look at how some smart enterprises have done it, Doc. Over the past 2 or so years, signs were already there that we, bit by bit, different countries were going into a recession. For me, the COVID-19 just came to usher the rest of the world into the recession, which I fear might become a depression with the way the stock markets are. So I'm afraid to sound like a prophet of doom, Doc. So let's leave it there. But what we are saying is, this is the best time to develop yourself as an entrepreneur. It's the best time to develop yourself as an employee. It's the best time to develop yourself as a leader. Stop following negative news. Look for news that has something to do with what's working elsewhere, what could be done differently. Let's run with those things. Think outside the box. What can we do creatively and innovatively? As a team member, don't wait for someone to do something. Do research and suggest. Talk to your leader. Talk to whoever is supervising you. I was reading, I found this. Another organization like this, they are doing almost the same thing as we are doing. This is what they have done. It's not time for blame game, guys. If you like blame game, you can do it after the crisis. During the crisis, this is serious. We need to join hands together. Some enterprises have thought about this in advance. You were mentioning, Doc, about you having a restaurant, you have the facilities. Could you possibly turn that into a grocery shop? Could you start talking with the council and things like that? Look at some big shops. They were selling clothes. They were selling, other things. They were not selling food. But in the past 2 years or so, they started introducing food. And the food division has been growing. Now, during this crisis, they keep on reducing sale of clothes and all those other things. They sell more food. They were very strategic. But it's never too late. We can still do something. And Doc, still on reskilling, we cannot take this for granted. Can you imagine an army which is not well trained? Can you imagine an army that does not have enough skills, that does not have enough ammunition? That's risky. So leaders should take their team as an army.
Yep, definitely.
Doc, what else do you have for us in your concluding remarks?
No, for me, in terms of concluding, since this was on entrepreneurs and business leaders, for me, don't just want to start up a new business. For some of us that want to start up businesses, don't just want to sustain and defend your current business positioning. And for those existing businesses, think big. In the next 18 months, focus on the role you play in people's lives. What role is your business playing in people's life? What role is your business going to play in people's lives? At the same time, think small. In the next 6 to 9 months, are you useful in the way I live my life on a daily basis? If you are not useful, reinvent to be useful to me in the next 6 to 9 months. While you are still thinking how to roll out your bigger plans in the next 18 months. But lastly, this opportunity, this is not a crisis for entrepreneurs.
Right.
This opportunity, this pandemic opportunity, should transform every entrepreneur to be an unconventional thinker.
Right.
Should transform every business leader to be an unconventional thinker.
Right.
You need to be able to challenge conventional wisdom, if we like it
Right.
or not.
Right.
Yesterday assumption of what should happen and what shouldn't happen is not in any way close to what we are facing with today and what we might be facing with in the future. So therefore, you need to harness this new paradigm for this new world. If you are able to do that, you should be able to ride this wave. You should be able to actually start up sustainable businesses. We need stories from this continent. We need stories from Gaborone. We need stories from Botswana. We need stories from South Africa that says it was during this pandemic opportunity that I started and I became the new African billionaire. It's as simple as that. We shouldn't export our opportunity elsewhere. We should localize our opportunity, utilize that advantage to even export the skills.
Right.
Technology is there for you. Utilize it. Become an unconventional thinker. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Doc. This is highly appreciated. We have designers seated in their home right now who can easily design whatever it is, whether it's a website or whatever it is, to the local market and to the global market. So whatever skills people have, whatever industry somebody is in, they could do this for the rest of the world. And I hope people will engage with what we have been discussing today. Doc, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Thank you so much.
All right, bye-bye.